Coming up on the Sixers and Birds podcast show, the Birds are taking on the Rams in this Week 3 highlighted game. The 2-0 Rams are traveling to the Link to take on the 2-0 Birds. First, before I get started on game breakdown, injuries, and my keys to the game, I want to hear from you. Get your score predictions in. Who y'all got? The Birds or the Rams? With that being said, I'm your host, AD. Let's get it.
We stand tall, we tuned in tonight. This the Sixers and Birds channel, keep it tight. Strictly my thoughts, no mask, no disguise. From the wells to the link, watch the city rise. And beat in the paint, that's a heavyweight move. Maxi in the lane with the speed to prove. Hurts calling plays, steady running the show. AJ on the line, yeah, you already know. Slim Reaper flying, hands sharp on the ball. 2-1-5 love, yeah, we repping it all. Strictly my thoughts, I'ma keep it direct. Philly pride in my chest, gotta earn that respect.
Philly, stand up. Welcome to the Sixers and Birds podcast, where I break down the Birds and the Rams pregame with no filters, no fluff, just real talk from a true Philly fan. I'm your host, AD. Now let's get into this. Man, this is going to be a slugfest. You have two great teams, two great organizations that know each other pretty well. The Birds and the Rams played each other in Week 12 last season. The Birds came out on top with a 37-20 Sunday night primetime win. In that game, we saw Barkley rush for the franchise record 255 yards and 2 tugs. He had 2 long runs of 70-plus, and the defense had 5 sacks on Stafford. And my man BG moved into 3rd place in franchise history for sacks with 76.5. Man, we was setting records all over them dudes that day. They will meet again for a rematch in the divisional round of the playoffs, where 2K left cleat marks on their ass again, rushing for 205 yards and scoring a 62 and a 78-yard touchdown. Now, the score was a little bit closer that round. They played us tough, but the bread man, Jalen Carter, sealed this snow game with a sack on a 4th down in the final few minutes, giving the Birds a 28-22 victory. A program reminder, don't forget to hit that like button for the coverage of the Sixers and Birds, and also subscribe and turn on your notifications. Let's see how the two teams are stacking up coming into 2025. The Birds are coming into this game with the 31st ranked pass offense, passing for 119 yards per game. The Rams, on the other hand, are coming in with the number 1 pass defense, allowing 4.3 yards per pass. I think them numbers are a little skewed, though. Yes, the Birds have been struggling, and 119 is terrible. But there's no way they can continue to struggle like that. And as for the Rams, 4.3 yards, the first week they played the Texans. In my opinion, the Texans can't block a damn thing. And CJ only has Nico Collins to throw to, with all the injuries they got in the receivers. Then in the second week, they played the Rook Cam Ward. And who's his receivers? Calvin Ridley and the old-ass Tyler Lockett? Bruh, stop. Neither one of those teams got the firepower the Birds got. Plus, the Rams are dealing with some injuries in their secondary. I'll talk more about that in the injury update. But I'm looking forward to Jalen and Kevin Patullo to get this passing game on track this week. The Rams' passing attack with new addition Devontae Adams and second-year stud Puka Nacua comes in 9th with 257 yards per game, while the Birds' shaky pass defense comes in at 8th, allowing 180 passing yards per game. While the pass rush and coverage are strong, the Birds' secondary has been struggling. Adoree on the opposite side of Q is a problem, but hopefully he'll hold up against those bigger receivers. Going down into the trenches, the Birds are coming in with the number 1 run defense, allowing 140 yards per game. We let Devontae Williams get away from us a couple times in that Week 1 matchup against Dallas, and we shut Pacheco down in Week 2. Kyron Williams is a good back. He had 66 yards last week against the Titans. I'm not scared of that dude at all. Plus, we made him fumble in the playoffs twice. The Rams is ranked 17th in rush defense, allowing 111 yards per game. And this is where I believe the game will get interesting. After Barkley tore their ass up for a total of 400-plus yards and 4 tugs in 2 games, Barkley has to be their main focal point. And Jalen and those receivers have to take advantage of the man coverage. Let's shift to the injury report for both teams. The Birds come into this game looking pretty healthy. One person not on the injury list, Dallas Goedert. Goedert's returning this week is big. because Grant Cockatera and Granson and whoever else they put in there was not getting it done with the pass and run protection. I think Dallas pass blocking doesn't get talked about enough. He's our best run blocking tight end by far. Will Shipley is still out dealing with the oblique injury. Maybe we'll get to see the boy Tank Bigsby. I didn't hear his name at all last week. He wasn't involved in any offensive plays. He didn't receive any kick return touches, nothing. I can see why he might not have no kick return yards, because the kicker can just kick away from him. But not to have 1 or 2 carries, I don't know what's up with that. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Tanner was back at practice. It was nice to see him throwing. He should be close to returning soon. Devontae Smith and Jalen Carter both got in some light practice on Friday. Smitty's dealing with the back he hurt in week 2, and Carter's dealing with the arm injury he suffered in week 2. But like I said, the Birds are looking pretty healthy. As for the Rams, they come into this game a little banged up. Witherspoon, one of their top corners, is on IR with a broken clavicle. Their center, Avila, has been dealing with an ankle, and he's out. Tight end Parkinson didn't play last week, dealing with a shoulder injury, and he's questionable. Defensive end Braden Fisk played through an oblique injury last week and is out this week. We'll keep an eye on these injuries as we get closer to game time. Before I get into my keys of the game, hit that like button for coverage of the Sixers and Birds, and also subscribe and turn on your notifications. Let's get into my keys to the game for the Birds to get this win and stay undefeated. For the offense, key number 3, establish the run. The run game needs to be on point. We want to force the Rams to keep that explosive offense on the sideline. Even though Say has been decent, his yards per carry average this season is only 3.7, way down from his career of 5.8. Key number 2, protect Hurts. The Rams got a bunch of dogs on that defensive line with Verse and Young. They can generate significant pressure. Keeping Jalen upright will be crucial in developing the passing game. These boys were getting after Jalen in the divisional game last year to a tune of 7 sacks and a safety. And my number 1 key, I'm sure, is at the top of everyone's list. Create more explosive pass plays. The Birds need to push the ball downfield to AJ and Devontae and generate big plays to keep that Rams D off balance. Switching over to the defensive side of the ball, my defensive key number 3 is to stop the run, particularly on the edge. Although I'm not too concerned about the Birds stopping the run, but sometimes we do have a tendency to let dudes get away from us for big gains. They let Kyron Williams get away from them in the divisional game, but they also made him fumble. The Birds will want to avoid long drives and big plays set up by that run game. Defensive key number 2, generate interior pressure on Stafford. The Rams' O-line has shown weakness, especially in the interior. The Birds went from having no sacks in week 1 to having 2 sacks in week 2. The D-line is ready to keep building on the things they did last week. And since Stafford is not a mobile quarterback, I say they end up with 4+ sacks. And my number 1 key is a no-brainer on defense. Contain the Rams' potent receiving duo, Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. They're 2 big physical receivers that can exploit vulnerabilities in the man and zone defenses. The Birds secondary will need to be disciplined in coverage and communicate. Hopefully Adoree has the right techniques this week.
Bad eyes on a couple plays. My technique wasn't there, and that goes a long way. Once you don't have the technique that you want, your eyes in the wrong place, that'll hurt you. In a couple plays, that's where my eyes weren't in the right place. My technique wasn't there. And it hurt me on a couple plays.
All right, y'all, it's time to drop that score prediction. Both of the teams are undefeated, but the Birds' offense have struggled a bit in its matchup with Dallas and Kansas City. Will that allow the Rams to hang around in week 3? This is going to be a close game. There is certainly a case to predict the Rams to win, but winning in Philly is not easy. So I have the Birds winning with a score of 24-17. And with that being said, I'm your host, AD, and as always, thanks for making my podcast a part of your day. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on your notifications, and catch me for the post-game show for the Eagles and Rams. Until then, go Birds!
We tuned in tonight. This the Sixers and Birds channel, keep it tight. Strictly my thoughts, no mask, no disguise. From the wells to the link, watch the city rise.